the lawyer in the Fed.
What's up, my people? Lawyer here, and today we got a very special episode for everybody. The Fed isn't here, so for this episode of 5 Rounds, we have standing in none other than former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world and UFC Hall of Famer, the OG, the boss, the gangster, Forrest Griffin! I'm gonna try to keep my composure though and not get too excited. So Forrest, can you please say hello to the fans and tell them what we're gonna be doing here today?
Forrest Griffin here, and I want to say hello to the Skags and Skeezers. That's right, the fans of the Lawyer and the Fed and the Lawyer and the Perp. And I will be standing in for the Fed for 5 rounds. Obviously, you've noticed that in the different rounds. And you're probably wondering why I keep changing locations and clothes, because these questions are very hard, and I'm doing the best I can to stay on top of my game.
Much appreciated, Forrest. You're always on your game, baby. But we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. So let's get it. 5 rounds. So, question 1. Regarding the absolute fucking blockbuster that was Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje the other night for the UFC interim lightweight title of the world, do you think that showed the evolution of striking in MMA in any way? Also, your opinions on the fight, and do you think Justin's got what it takes to beat Khabib? Your thoughts, bud.
Round 1.
I don't know about the evolution. Ferguson's a crazy guy, but the power, it was just the power of Gaethje shut that down. He fought clean, he fought smart, he listened to his coach, he didn't force it, he got the finish without ever really, overdoing it, and he let the finish come to him instead of hunting for it. Right at the end, that's the way you want to finish a fight, right? The 5th round, he looked really good. I'd say all but 1 round. It's the best Justin Gaethje we've seen yet. As far as Tony Ferguson, looked good. Durability, beyond question. One of the tougher human beings in the world. Obviously, cinder block for a chin, blessing. I would have liked to see more of the crazy scrambles. He went for the Minari roll a couple times, but I would like to see him jump in, try to create some scrambles, get in space, get Gaethje out of that tight kickboxing stance that Gaethje held throughout most of the fight, push him on the fence, throw a couple more spinning elbows, jump Kimuras, jump down. If you think about Gaethje, the big power he has, you don't see him in people's guard grounding and pounding a lot, so I would have been less afraid of him on the ground. Again, I think the way to beat Gaethje, maybe create scrambles. That's my 2 cents. And I'm wrong about most things. Probably wrong about that too. Can Gaethje beat Khabib? Yes. Gaethje can remove consciousness from any human being on the planet. I'm pretty sure about that.
Well, first off, I couldn't agree more with your assessment of the actual fight. I was saying it since the very beginning of the fight. Tony needs to find a way to connect to him. He's going to win this fight by being the superior martial artist, not the superior striker. And I was looking for that fucking Minari roll in round 1. Where were those Minari rolls in round 1? He didn't try rolling into the leg lock until he was already beaten, battered, and desperate. And even when he did, he wasn't committed to it. So we knew that wasn't going to work. And as far as the evolution of striking in MMA, I had said that because Tony is, he's a fucking really funky fighter. He throws like some weird Mortal Kombat, futuristic 2040 prototype cyborg striker stuff at you, And yeah, I guess, you know what? At the end of the day, Gaethje really won it with leg kicks and left hooks. So pretty traditional as you get. Leg kicks and left hooks all day. So for round 2, I'd like to ask you your thoughts on that bantamweight championship fight between Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz. And also, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the stoppage and whether you think it was just or not. 5 rounds. Go.
Ragu.
My opinion on the Cejudo-Cruz fight and stoppage. Good fight. Cruz was finding his rhythm in the 2nd round. I would have loved to see more of it. Let me tell you why it was, in fact, a good stoppage. Cruz was hurt, right? He was hurt. He actually got pushed down, I believe, after the knee. He took 10 unanswered shots. Now, he did appear, his face was on the mat, right? So he appeared helpless. However, by the time the ref could consciously make the choice, Dom's in trouble, physically get there and stop the fight, Cruz was already recovering on his way back up, so it looked bad. So if he would have just stopped it a second earlier, we wouldn't have to have this conversation. However, just a testament to Cruz's heart, right? Didn't want to stop fighting. He did take 10 unanswered blows down there. His head was on the canvas. It looked pretty bad. And, you got to... Henry did the same thing to TJ Dillashaw. A guy that fast is hitting you. It's like Vitor Belfort used to do. It just looks violent. You look like, oh, geez, he's hitting him a lot. Again, so I think it was a good stoppage. It sucks for Cruz. It sucks that they can't run it back because I thought that was really turning into an interesting fight. Maybe they can. Maybe Cruz has to get a win and they could do that again because I would still love to see that fight. I think Cruz, despite what he says, may have had a little ring rust there. And I think Cruz is going to look better in this next fight.
Well, that's if there is a next fight. Let's remember, Henry Cejudo had his supposed retirement after the fight. It was actually really weird that there was no audience there. Nobody cheering. He didn't leave the gloves in the cage. He retired in a silent arena. And he even acknowledged, man, he's corny, but you could say what you want about that boy. He may be corny, but he is for sure one of the great UFC fighters of all time. And like he says, one of the absolute best combat sports athletes that's ever lived. You can't take that away from him. As far as the stoppage goes, I fully agree. Full disclosure, I did have money on Cejudo in that fight, so it was to my benefit that they stopped the fight. I was screaming for the ref to stop the fight, and there was a whole bunch of wild accusations thrown by Cruz after the fight about referee Keith Richardson. He said he smelled like booze and bogeys. I think that's sour grapes. I've actually met Keith Peterson. He never smelled of alcohol when I saw him. He seemed pretty responsible, like a good father to his children. And yeah, I think that's serious sour grapes on Cruz's part. I think it's pretty classless, but I could understand his frustration. He was certainly still conscious at the time of the stoppage, but he should have stood up instead of complaining about the fact that he was in the process of standing up. The onus is always on the fighter to defend himself. The ref always gives that in pre-fight instructions. But anyway, yeah, I agree on the stoppage. There was about 11 unanswered shots, and I'd sure love to see him run it back, as you had mentioned, but with Cejudo's looming retirement, that's doubtful. One could hope. I guess we'll see what happens. So, next question. Mike Tyson's been training again, as evidenced by the footage that's hit the internet recently and caused a storm of fucking ruckus. And even at 52 years old, he still looks great on the pads. He's still cracking. He's actually being trained by Rafael Cordero right now of shootbox fame. And that bare-knuckled fighting organization in the United States that's now sanctioned in a few states offered him $20 million for a bare-knuckle fight against the guy of his choosing. So I want to know your opinions on Mike Tyson, if you've seen the footage of him training, how he looks, and whether you want to see him get back into the ring or fight a bare-knuckle fight or any fight in particular.
Round Trinity.
Mike Tyson's training again. Yeah, he's looked pretty good. He looks powerful. He looks fast. He's the best, most in shape 50-year-old I've seen in a long time. Is there really a $20 million bare-knuckle boxing fight offer out there with him? And if so, who the hell would he fight? Evander Holyfield? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's real. But what I do remember is back in the 80s when Mike Tyson was knocking everybody out in a minute or two, and everybody was like, I'd fight Mike Tyson for $3 million, 2 minutes work, no problem. Where's the guy offering out those $1 million fights to get beat up by Tyson? I think a lot of people would get beat up by Tyson for $1 million. It reminds me of the old Will Smith Fresh Prince song, right? Where they're Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, and Jazzy Jeff, yeah. Whatever happened to that poor guy, by the way? Will Smith is like the big star, movie star in the world, and the other guy's gone. But anyway, they had a good run, and they had a great song about Mike Tyson. You got to slip, not dip. You got to roll. Anyway, so thoughts on Mike Tyson, bare-knuckle boxing. That sounds like insanity. Does he look like a guy that wants to fight again? Yes, he does. Should he? It's not my decision. One thing I know is that people will be interested in seeing it.
That's a great point, Forrest. Shout out to Jazzy Jeff, man. I mean, the song you're talking about I think is even a little too old school for me, but I totally agree. Will Smith is a cheap motherfucker. he needs to break off Jazzy Jeff some of that bread. But as far as the Tyson fight, so believe it or not, the offer is real. The $20 million for Mike Tyson to fight bare knuckle. The league is called BKFC. They offered 30 million British pounds, which I believe translates to 20 million American dollars. There was also a couple other offers for him to fight a couple famous rugby players from Australia. Those original offers were only 2, then I think 3 million. So far it's the BKFC leading the race per se for Tyson services. But initially he had just said that he only wanted to fight exhibition matches where he would give the money to charity. In my opinion, as amazing as he looks, he's still digging that left hook with such fucking ferocity, and and he's still coming over the top with that overhand that looks like it could knock a cinder block down. But I don't think I'd want to see him in any situation where there would be potential for Tyson to get seriously hurt. I'm a sucker for a comeback, and believe me, I want to see him in there, but I want to make sure this is managed correctly and he's put in there with the right opponent. Bare knuckle, probably not the best idea. I'm sure Tyson would fucking lay waste to any bum in that bare knuckle fighting championship, and I don't like to disrespect any fighter when I say bum, but compared to Mike Tyson and the Sweet Science, they ain't shit. So, can Tyson still knock somebody the fuck out? Most certainly. Do his fans, his family, and the people who love him want to see him do it? Definitely not. So, hopefully something can be worked out that's fair to all parties, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see one more flash of the Dynamite Kid, straight out of Brooklyn. Okay, so for the fourth question, and this one's actually funny, I had a friend that worked out in a weightlifting gym, a regular gym in Las Vegas, and you and Carrot Top, I believe, were among some of the people that had signed up and worked out at that gym. Now, rumor had it, he claimed, that you and Carrot Top actually had a fist fight or close to a fist fight, at least an altercation at a gym in Vegas. Is there any truth to this? Did you and Carrot Top scrap? Let me know. 5 rounds.
Round 4.
What's up, Forrest Griffin here, and I'm back to answer some rapid-fire questions very slowly for the lawyer and the Fed. All right, now they were told by a friend of mine that I got in an altercation with Carrot Top in a local weightlifting gym in Vegas. We both live in Vegas. I did not. In fact, he asked me to spot him, and I did, and we became sort of buddies, and we've done some charity stuff together as well. It would have been much cooler if we had, in fact, gotten in a fight, but we did not. He's stronger than I am on the bench press, and he's as ripped as he looks. Pretty funny guy as well. So I'm afraid that story is not true.
Yeah, that is unfortunate and less cool. I knew it was most likely bullshit, but I was hoping we would break some news here on 5 rounds with Lawyer and the Fed. Shout out to old Creep. He was the original source of that information, so looks like you were wrong, just like I told you, fucker. For my last question, for the last question of the day, and this one is very serious. Would my expertise in BJJ fare well against a bear in the cage? 5 rounds. Tell me, Forrest.
Round 5.
Would BJJ be effective against a bear? No, absolutely not. Everybody knows that follows Khabib, only combat sambo works against bears. Only combat sambo works against bears. BJJ will get you killed. Don't throw. You gotta like quasi judo Sancho throw a bear and maybe roll down for a knee bar. If you pull guard and try and triangle them, they will just chew off your genitalia. So no BJJ on bears.
So you think the bear's going right at the Brajol, huh? That would be terrible, but how did I know you were going to mention Khabib and that old video of him as a kid wrestling that grizzly bear? Guess I'm fucking psychic. But I'll have you know, a man actually did defend himself against a bear with BJJ and put him in a mata leon, also known as a rear naked choke, and choked that fucking bear to death. Might have been a mountain lion. Not entirely sure, but either way it worked. So, in all seriousness, I want to thank you very much, Forrest Griffin. Your win over Shogun when he came over from Pride and was ranked #1 in the world. Still probably my favorite moment in the history of the sport. Your subsequent win over Rampage for the belt, also amazing. UFC Hall of Famer, absolute legend, and one of my absolute favorite fighters of all time. Is there anything else you feel is important to tell the audience, the lawyer and the Fed?
I need you to know that the lawyer is a handsome, hardcore OG. handsome and hardcore, original gangster.
You're making me blush, Forrest, but thank you. Coming from a serious OG yourself, it means a lot. Can I be shameless quickly and ask you to plug us up one more time? Tell them where to find us?
Check them out. The Lawyer and the Fed, located at youtube.com/lawyer and the perp. I'm confused about that too. /lawyer and the perp. Yeah, how hard can it be? Punch in YouTube. See what comes up. Probably be these guys.
Thank you so much, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, UFC Hall of Famer Forrest Griffin. Well, that's it. Another episode of 5 Rounds in the Can. Make sure you stay tuned because we have yet another former UFC champion of the world coming up next episode, and you won't want to miss that, trust me. So next week, the Fed returns, and we're going to have another UFC Hall of Famer on 5 Rounds with Lawyer and the Fed. And guys, don't forget, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that button you see right there if you haven't already to subscribe to the channel. More content coming soon. Lawyer out. Peace.